If this was a funny little skinny itty bitty bone, then our arms wouldn't be as flexible. We couldn't move them as well. You know, so we need specific. You know, there's a what's the adage? You know, form equals function. You know, here's what I'm trying to do. How do I make it work? Mechanics and engineers think this way. I'm trying to do something specific. What do I need to put here? I got to do this, and it's got to do that. What do I have to do between these two things to make that happen? You know, and so the designers, the grand designer, once again realized to make that arm move and articulate properly, we're going to have some way to get hold of it and then move it around in some fashion or other. So that's why, you know, and all the bones really, when you start looking at them and thinking about it that way, this is the study of anatomy, why certain things are the shape they are, why giraffes have longer necks, things like that.
They have the same number of vertebrae.
They have the same number of vertebrae, yes, but they do have longer necks, but of course their diet consists of leaves for the most part. So they have to reach up high and get some dinner. But look at the proportion going on here. That's sort of making sense. Am I right? Am I doing it semi-right, you think? Or I fooled you into thinking I know it? The arm itself, once again, here's that glenoid cavity is here. And the arm, the humerus bone, stick out this way and have an end on it about like this. And I've always found that the arm, in the ideal proportion, you rotate that in, you know, the radius of this, bring this arm down straight. Get on yourself and feel that 10th rib. But the elbow is going to be about the same place. So that's something to keep in mind. This isn't correct. Why is that, you think?
You got the hinges on.
Say what?
You got the hinges.
Yeah, it's got all this mechanical stuff in the way, and this thing may not be quite in the position it ought to be. You know, some bad mechanic put it all together. Once again, you know, they sell these things to art schools, but really the main customers are doctors. And even though doctors deal with this stuff all the time, it doesn't matter to them. You know, they're just trying to say, well, we're going to try and fix this bone in here, and the patient, well, they don't care. They just want the bone fixed. So there's a lot of this stuff doesn't quite work for artists, but it's also nice for you to at least see it, and so you have some idea that that's in there. Because one of the problems you run into is look at all that funny stuff. Where'd it go? I'm going to draw the model. Where is it? It's covered up by stuff, which is part of the study of anatomy.
It's covered up by a comedian.
That's right. By one other handsome fellow. Real quick here, if we have muscles that connect, and I'm only going to briefly mention this. We have a few muscles that connect the neck to this point right here. The skull, the sternum, the base of the skull. If this is the side of the skull, on the back of it, you have two little bumps right here, right there and there. You see it. You turn him sideways, you see the little bump. That's the mastoid bone right there. And the bone in the front, the sternum, and thus we have a muscle that joins the two. It's very prominent on almost everybody. You'll see it when we see handsome, fit individuals getting mad at each other in movies, and the lighting is so nice, that big muscle that runs on this angle around. Say what again? Say it, yours. Very close. It's the sternomastoid muscle. So it actually comes from the sternum and goes up to the mastoid bone. So we see that shape, that line, and it helps to create that little divot runs in right there. This muscle comes this way. There's a secondary one that also comes in there and goes into about here on the clavicle, and is there to help us pull the head down and or move that shoulder up. You actually feel it right there. The trapezius in the back, which also comes down from the skull and then rotates and runs around that way, and we get the basic shape of the neck. Something kind of like that. So you see this V shape. You see the basic sense of the rib cage in that 5i cube. Follow it down. Others, when we do sit-ups, everyone here do a lot of sit-ups?
No.
I need to do more myself. But you guys can work at it a little bit more. It's good for you. You do sit-ups, you pull the body up. Okay, you're in either usually a sitting position or a down position, and you use them all the time. Get up from chairs. You'll be using those abdominal muscles to do that. And the abdominal muscles, of course, hook into the bottom of the rib cage here. Okay, and actually, let me backtrack that one little phrase. You see the cartilage beginning here. That actually has an interesting name. It's got a rather obvious name. It's called the intersection of the cartilage to the ribs. Okay, so the intersection of the cartilage to the ribs, actually you see that line is going to come through here. And it really does, of course, that aids in the ability to flex the ribs so we can breathe better. But it also gives us a place for these abdominal muscles to hook on down here. And if you follow that line, the abdominal muscles almost follow this per se exactly. And they go from the bottom of the ribs and hook right to the pubic bone right here. Okay, and this is I'm giving you the quickie little conversation. But what I'm after here is you start to see this point becomes very important in a drawing. Okay, this point, the pubic bone itself, becomes incredibly important to the drawing. The famous phrase is, you drive your lines to these points. The lines of the forms go to specific points. And if you know they're there, all of a sudden, well, I just, here I'm drawing this figure and it's rotated one way or the other, but I know this muscle or that muscle has to go to that point. And that has to do with then thinking about, well, this is a specific triangular, or rectangular bone or shape. And I know that point exists. There's no getting around it. These are disguised. The ischium, especially standing, they're all under some other muscles and things like that. You wouldn't even know they're there. To the side of that, right in this area, we have a cup-shaped form, which is the place for the iliac crest, it's called. And that is the uppermost point of the humerus bone, which you see, of course, here. And you actually see the lever that's going on. There's an extension of the bone. This bone doesn't just come out of this point. There's an extension of it for a reason. Back to, we have to have a reason for things. And of course, the reason for that extension is if we didn't have this distance right here, there'd be no way to move my leg this way to the right. Okay, I wouldn't have a place for the muscle to attach to pull it that way, because it needs this little fulcrum. Your physics class. It needs a reason for this lever. Okay, so we have a muscle that hooks into the side over here of the pelvis, back here. Show it from this view, and comes over to this point, and that muscle tightens and pulls the leg out. Okay. If we didn't have that muscle, we didn't have that lever right there, we could move forward just fine, but we might have trouble going to the right and left. And because we're trying to get away from attacking zebras and things like that, we needed that latitude. That playing professional football. Those two major things that we need to get from here to there. We can expand these boxes down 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Be a little longer than that. And it's going to come down. And actually that would probably get us to about the bottom, where the kneecap is going to go. You're starting to see the proportions, don't you?